Dear judges, the government lacks money. The people lack money. The country resolved Nantala Ingrid Kwag Side College, Luzira. This house will attribute the low levels of agricultural exportation to the declining economy in Uganda. What does this bring to our understanding? It means that we are having low levels of agricultural exportation due to the cause that we have a declining economy in the country. When you talk about attribute, that is to blame. Low levels is being below average. Agriculture exportation. These are products, agricultural products that are sold to other countries apart from your own country. And declining economy. It's a significant decline in economic activity and it spreads across the country, lasting more than a few months, normally visible in production, employment, real income, and other indicators. Now, dear judges, today the affirmative side is here to show because we have a declining economy, we are having low levels of agricultural exportation. Our parameters have already been given as standard. Why do we look up to the agricultural sector? Dear judges, first of all, it 24% to our GDP and 35% to our export earning. In addition to that, why do we look up to the agricultural sector? It contributes 24% to our GDP, 35% to our export earning, and it's the main livelihood to many of the Ugandans in the state. 50% it contributes to our it accounts to our export earning. That is why it is very vital. It is our backbone, and it enables us to stand in Uganda. Now, before we blame the economy, actually, how can you realize that an economy is declining? Dear judges, one, we have inflation. When you look at the statistics according to the IMF, in December 2023, our inflation rates were at 2.6, but in January 2024, they were at 2.8, an increase of 0.2. Just in 1 month, our inflation rates are high. That is showing that our economy is actually declining. Secondly, we have high interest rates according to the Bank of Uganda. An interest rate should be at least at 2% or 5%, but the interest rates are very high at 10% in Uganda. That is a sign that our economy is declining. We have low currency value. Dear judges, are you aware that one US dollar actually costs 3,814.66 Ugandan shillings? It shows that our currency has no value. Now, how will you be able to export your agricultural products on a global market when your currency has a low value? In addition to that, dear judges, I bring it to our status quo, which is the government debt. Do you know the reasons to why we have a declining economy? Because the nation has a very public debt. According to the World Bank, Uganda has actually a public debt of 96.1 trillion. A country having a public debt of 96.1 trillion, it means that this country is going to work hard to pay this debt. That means that they are going to minimize the funds that they send to other sectors, which includes the agricultural sector. That indicates that they are going to be actually the funds they are going to give to the agricultural sector are going to be very less. Our main export is coffee. When you look at statistics, it shows that it brings to us 243 billion according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. But these statistics are lowering down. Why are they lowering down? We are having a declining economy. Dear judges, that is why we as the affirmatives actually blaming this economy, because it is not sustaining us to be able to export agricultural products. And before I go any further, I would like to give you our body, dear judges. Our body is the National Alliance of Agricultural Cooperatives. It was started in January 2018 and it's located at Namugongo Road, Nalia. It fosters and coordinates market systems relationships for provision of high quality holistic agriculture and cooperative support services to members and partners on a sustainable basis. It's basically an umbrella organization that brings all agricultural cooperatives in this place. Dear judges, our main point today is running under 96.1 trillion as a big debt. That means the government, the people, both of them can hardly export their agriculture. Thank you for listening.
The panel of judges, the two antagonistic bodies, plus the House at large, good afternoon. My name is Kwagala Tracy from RUBAGA Girls Secondary School. Resolved, this House will attribute the low levels of agriculture exportation to the declining economy in Uganda. Dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me question the negative for not being able to tell us how agriculture is the backbone of Uganda. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing an evolving structure in Uganda. Don't you think they should tell us why it is the backbone? Then, the other how I would oppose the affirmative is this. Dear ladies and gentlemen, isn't the low levels of agriculture exportation a cause of the declining economy? That's why us as the negative are finding it irrelevant to blame the declining economy for this. However, we are blaming us as team negative, we are attributing the low levels of agriculture exportation to the various challenges affecting agriculture. Dear ladies and gentlemen, according to the international Dear ladies and gentlemen, agriculture is the backbone of Uganda because it employs more than 70% of the Ugandan labor force. And on top of that, dear ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about agriculture, agriculture has the people that perform the agriculture. And this, according to the International Food Policy Research Institute, it states that agriculture production in Uganda hinges on the efforts of rural producers and processors who typically receive the least benefits from marketing and processing their products. Dear ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the very challenges that are actually affecting agriculture. These challenges include climate change and failure to adapt to the climate change, high taxation, market and quality, low technology, prioritizing other sectors over agriculture, storage and transportation, poor, more focus on other sectors than agriculture. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the policy that finances agriculture exportation in Uganda is the National Agriculture Policy of September 2013 under the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries. Dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me bring it to you that before colonial time, agriculture was prosperous, dear ladies and gentlemen. And why was this? It is because the global market standards by then were low. But after the economic recovery, after the economic crisis of 1971, Uganda had to upgrade, which failed it, dear ladies and gentlemen. And this has been registered a decline. According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics of 2010, between 2001 and 2010, there has been a decline of 10% within the depleting years. Dear ladies and gentlemen, this is an alarm for us. And the major exports of Uganda include coffee, covering approximately 39%, fish export, dairy, eggs, and honey. Dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring it to you that majority of Uganda's agriculture exports are cash crops, as I've stated that majorly it's coffee, cotton, tobacco, and many others. However, dear ladies and gentlemen, this is not what majority of the best of agriculture practices. They grow traditional cash crops like sweet potatoes, and these are not sweet potatoes, maize, beans, and these are not actually really needed or acknowledged on the global market. Dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me bring it to you that Uganda's economy, I beg your pardon, that 99% of Ugandan households engage in agriculture production with 14% of their own consumption, 68% on consumption for sale. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.